Why didn't I wake up my little brother for his job interview after I found out he'd been stealing my tips? I'm 24, work nights at this greasy diner downtown. The tips are decent if you hustle hard, and I need every single dollar I can get. My little brother Danny is 21 and has been crashing at my one-bedroom apartment since he dropped out of college 3 months ago. Mom kicked him out after he failed his 3rd semester in a row, so I felt bad and let him stay temporarily. Huge mistake. Danny's one of those guys who genuinely thinks the world owes him something. He'll sleep until noon every day, play video games for hours, then complain about how impossible it is to find decent work. Meanwhile, I'm pulling brutal 12-hour shifts, coming home at 2 a.m. completely exhausted and smelling like grease. Last Monday, Danny finally got a call back from this decent marketing firm downtown. Entry-level assistant position, $15 an hour with full benefits. Way better than anything else he'd been half-heartedly applying to. Danny was actually pumped for once. This was his real chance to prove he wasn't a complete screw-up and maybe start an actual career. The interview was scheduled for Thursday morning at exactly 9 a.m. sharp. Wednesday night, he came up to me and asked if I could wake him up at 7 a.m. since he's literally the world's heaviest sleeper. He wanted extra time to shower, eat breakfast, and mentally prepare. I said sure, no problem. I got home from my shift around 2:15 a.m., completely drained and exhausted. I keep my daily tips in this old mason jar hidden in my dresser drawer, usually anywhere from $60 to $80 depending on how busy we were that night. But when I reached for the jar, it felt way too light in my hands. I dumped everything out and counted twice, then a third time, $23 total. That was it. I knew for certain I'd put exactly $75 in there that morning before leaving for work. I went straight to the kitchen and checked our trash can. Sure enough, there were multiple receipts. DoorDash orders from Tuesday night, $38 for expensive Chinese food when we had perfectly good leftovers in the fridge. Gas station receipt for energy drinks and snacks. GameStop receipt for some used PlayStation game he didn't need. All from this week alone. All adding up to way more than the occasional $20 he'd been borrowing from me. This wasn't casual sibling borrowing anymore. This was straight up theft from someone working their ass off every single night to keep us both housed and fed. Thursday morning, my alarm went off at 6:45 a.m. I walked to Danny's air mattress in the living room. He was dead asleep, snoring loud enough to wake the building. His pressed shirt hung neatly on a chair, resume ready in a folder. I stood there watching him sleep. This was his shot, the interview he'd been talking about nonstop. But I kept thinking about my tip jar, about working until 2 a.m. serving drunk customers, just so he could order expensive takeout behind my back. 7 o'clock came and went, then 7:15, then 7:30. Part of me wanted to shake him awake like I'd promised, but the other part, the part tired of being taken advantage of, said he'd made his choice when he decided to steal from me. So I made my coffee, took a shower, and waited. 8 o'clock passed, then 8:30. By 8:45, I was feeling guilty, but I held firm. At 9:47 a.m., Danny finally woke up. I heard him check his phone and start screaming. "Oh shit, what time is it? Why didn't you wake me up?" He ran into the kitchen where I was calmly eating cereal. The interview was at 9. It's almost 10. Why didn't you wake me up like you promised? I looked up at him, hair everywhere, panic in his eyes. "Sorry," I said, taking another spoonful. "I forgot." Pure devastation crossed his face. He knew he'd blown it. "I can't believe you forgot the one thing I asked you to do. This was important to me." I wanted to tell him about the money, about how forgetting was the least he deserved after stealing from me, but I just shrugged. "Yeah, that sucks." Danny spent the day calling the company, begging for another chance. They were polite but firm, position filled. That night, I confronted him about the missing tips. He tried to deny it, then admitted he'd borrowed money but swore he'd pay it back. "When?" I asked. "With what job?" No answer. 2 weeks later, he moved back with Mom. I changed the locks and started keeping my money in a bank account.